Hello and welcome. Today we're going to do an update on how to connect your DJI controller, RC2 to be specific, to an iPad, just for the purpose of being able to do your flight on an iPad. Pretty simple. You only need controller, iPad, and two specific cables. This is an update for 2025 and beyond, but essentially because I want it to be a more precise video than my last one was. I always get a lot of questions on that one. So one, we're going to do a quick, brief version of connecting it. It's going to work the first time, knock on wood. And secondly to that, we are going to do question and answers, essentially all of the questions that have been asked over the last year or so, 10 months, year, since I posted that video. We're just going to condense some of the questions in a form so that we can review them together. So that basically should cover all bases. And then again, if you have any more questions, we can cover it in this video. So this is an update for connecting RC2 to iPad, and let's get started. And there will be an update for me connecting my camera to my iPad, because I do that probably more often than I do the remote. So I'll give you that as a bonus extra at the very end. We need our RC2, we need our iPad, and you may know you do need an app called Orion. Now in the original video, I called it Orion, I think. It's called Orion. Someone in the comments said it's pronounced Orion, and as soon as the person said it, I knew exactly what my mistake was. So app is called Orion, and I will set up a link down below. But this is the app we need. It's free. I think there's a paid for version, but this is what we need. So we click into that app and we get this beautiful screen right here. My golden tip, which I said before, turn this on last. This is the final thing you want to be turning on before anything else. We're going to take our cable. This cable will be linked below. And to reference to the other video, a lot of people have messaged me about different versions of these cables. All I know is these cables work. And some people in the comments have said that they've tried other variations. They didn't work. They tried this variation and it does work. And it's by Ugreen, to be a little bit more specific. I think they would call them a capture card. HDMI receiver to a USB-C. And this one is HDMI cable to USB-C. I just keep them together. And we want the capture card to go in side of the iPad right there. And you'll typically get this black screen, and this is what you're looking for. So as long as that happens, you're good. Somebody else said that just like a computer, restart your iPad and turn it back on is always a good bet. Like any computer, that always fixes a lot of bugs. So this worked first time. We're going to go ahead and power up the controller. And you'll see this fade to black in a second. Black screen's a good sign. And there we go. So we have both things connected. Now, for your viewing pleasure, this was the second time it took me to do it. I refreshed the app. I turned this on and off one more time, and then it worked. First time I just didn't. I was thinking I had the cables the wrong way around. I didn't. So capture card over here, HDMI to USB-C right there. So as long as you got it in that configuration, you're good. As you can see, we have it linked up right here. And if I click around, you'll see there's a split second of a delay. So there's some playback, and you can see it's almost identical between the two. So when you're flying, it's real quick. There's not much of a difference that you would notice as you're physically flying. And of course, if you're flying safely, you should be fine anyway. So that's how you set it up. Now, if that's all you need, great. If you have some troubleshooting or you want some questions answered, stay around because we're going to cover some questions that have gone from that video. First question, does this work for the basic controller? I don't believe so, and really because you would just do the cable from the Fly app on your iPad to the controller, the N3 I think it's at these days, and that's it, right? So there's no need. So you just need a device or something to hold the iPad, but that's it. So now, does this work for any of the RC controllers? I believe it's just this model, which is the RC2 and not the RC1, something to do with the USB. Now, if that's wrong, correct me in the comments, but I believe that's the case. Someone asked if this works for Android. I believe Android's so much easier. There's going to be a specific app for Android that you'll use, but apparently it's just so much simpler than having to use the Orion app. I think that's where the finickiness comes into play here, using that Orion app. So I believe, like say the Android tablets, simple. Go that route if you need to. I know a lot of, say, 51 Drones, Russ recommends that because of how simple it is to connect it up. There's very specific ones that he uses, so check his site out. But for an iPad specifically, Orion app, good to go. Okay, so here's one comment. I have just purchased the latest Ugreen all-in-one connector that also has a 100-watt max USB-C power input in the video capture electronics module. Great news, it works. Hooray. So that's from Tessie Mania. If you see this, probably not, but if you do, link that specific cable down, or I might do a little search and try and find it. So that seems to be a good way of doing it. Here's the comment about restarting the computer or restarting your iPad because it's like a computer. So it comes from this user right here. I've watched 10 videos and no one states if you can use Wi-Fi on the iPads or if this needs cellular iPad. Great question. I answered it right there. I don't have a cellular iPad now. I'm in Wi-Fi, but this works. I've taken it out in the field and it works perfectly fine. So you do not need Wi-Fi for this. Someone's asking about the backplate. I've actually got a connector on here right now, but the actual backplate back here, I will link because that one was a really good find. I ended up buying the wrong one first and then finding this one. So, but I've also got a F38 in there for that reason and purpose. What software do I need? Which was this question. And Orion, not Orion. Someone asked me what iOS I was using. So essentially, in terms of the software, I always update this, and when a couple of new updates come out, I will just test this out, just put this together and it still works. One of the users here asked what versions I had, so I've included the version on the screenshot right here, so you can see what my version is. And yeah, it's always running the latest, and I've never had an update where it just stopped working. Now I don't test every single update, but I will connect it up every now and then, and it will work. Someone's asking about an iPad screen connected up to your, a MacBook, and maybe it's not. I'm sure there's some software out there to do it. I just don't know, so don't quote me on that one. Someone's saying it's a shame how this can just be simplified by doing the whole deal where it comes up here to connect like you can for the Avata 2, because yes, 100% that should be just the way to do it. You should just be able to go the fly up on one, fly up on the other, and connect the two, and that's it. You can do it. The technology's there. DJI have that technology, but they just haven't put it onto these devices yet. That would be a simplified version. If that happens, all this goes away. You just connect it through the app, and that's the way I would do it. If they implemented it and it was lightning quick, then yes, ditch all the cables, just do it that way. They haven't implemented it yet. They've had plenty of time to do so, so I don't know if it is coming, but there you go. Someone's asking if you can just use USB-C to USB-C. Quick answer, no. I've tried it, doesn't work. So you need USB-C to HDMI, male end to a female to a USB-C, which is a capture card, but it's cheap enough, so it's not too big of a deal. Someone said they tried it with an iPad Pro 13 that didn't work. And then someone said they used the Guermok capture device. That's how you say it, I'm sure. And they said it ran first time. So there you go. And if anyone gets back to me saying, hey, this is not working, all I'm basically doing is saying, okay, did you have the right cables? Did you wait to turn the device on, as you know, when it was all plugged in, and then you turn the device on last? And that's really all I'm doing, because you know there's probably a million different scenarios out there of how this can work and how it may not work. So really that's all I'm doing, and I'm not an expert in this. I've just happened to watch a video and it worked, made a video and a tutorial to show people how it works, and then I've done 2 more since, but basically the same contents. So that's really it. And all the troubleshooting is, let's just say this, if there's troubleshooting that needs to happen because it's just not getting the black screen, it's just not getting the colored line screens, then it's a case of restart this device, relaunch the app, set it all up, do it again. If it didn't work, close out the app, unplug everything, plug it back in, just all that little. And the very first time I did this, I did that, and I actually didn't get it to work for like a week. And then all of a sudden I got the right combination, and the key was waiting for this to be off, plug it in, and then turn it on, and then it all fired up and worked. And I was very surprised that I got it to work. So it's just a case of messing around. It's not ideal. This took me 2 tries to get it done, and I did everything perfectly, and it took me 2 tries to do it. But sometimes it's just a case of restarting things and starting them back up. And if you've got the right cables and the right app and you put it in the right process, it should work for a second, third try. And if there's something missing here, it's just, well, based on the variations of cables and all that stuff, it may work, it may not work. Hard to say, but you just have to play around with it a whole bunch. There you go. Someone's asking if a Galaxy Tab 8 works, and to kind of answer that question pretty simply, I believe the Android side of things is much simpler. Never done it, but I've heard you don't have to mess around with it as much. So I think it will probably just be a USB-C direct from one to the other. Don't quote me on that one. Someone else can comment, but I've heard it's a lot simpler. The famous quote of him telling me how to pronounce, and as soon as he said Constellation Orion, I'm like, yeah, there you go. So timeout, ... no wayo. Really appreciate that. Thank you. All right, that pretty much covers it. So if there's more questions based on what we've covered today, I get back to my questions on the comment section very, very quickly. So normally the same day. My job means I can get back to stuff like this pretty quickly and pretty simply. So, and if there's something I need to try, but actually the way I use this more, and it's nothing to do with this. So let's turn off our device right here. This might give you a little bit of inception, but it's fine. So I'm going to take my cable right here. So if this helps anybody, great. There we go. Me looking at me, looking at me. So I use it more in this context, which I use it as a screen for one of my cameras. So to say how this works out, I've got the capture card right here, HDMI input with a USB-C. This connector is a HDMI running into a micro HDMI, which goes directly into my camera. This one, this variation of this setup, I'm just about to say something here, but it didn't like that. I just plugged it, and I don't blame it. You get bugs like that. Close it out. Open it back up. Unplug, plug. There we go. So what I'll say about this setup is this is so much less finicky than using the controller and what we just did. This, I can do it any which way. The camera's on this whole time. It's recording me. Unplug, unplug, do whatever I did, and it works. Comes up first time straight away. Here's a bit more inception for you. If you just need a monitor for your camera and you have an iPad lying around, that is really cheap cable, HDMI cable to a micro HDMI to get this desired output. And then now I have a 12-inch, whatever inch display this iPad is. It just makes things so much simpler for focus. And I've messed up a couple of times with my focus on actually a lot of videos. Any questions, all questions, let me know. I'll do my best. Not an expert, but I've just used it a bunch. So if that helps, really appreciate the feedback, and share the video, like it, do all that stuff that people ask you to do on YouTube. Links in the description below, or links in the description below. I should know how to say that by now. They are affiliate links, so they do help the channel out. Have a great day, guys. Take care. Bye.